Hey, this is Lorena, and I wanted to do a quick video on the Doodle Challenge. I'm so excited that a good group of people started doing it on Lorena's Quilting Facebook group. So what I did is I got some of the addresses of those people and I mailed them this banner. One of the ladies on my Facebook group asked me how to work on satin and maybe if I could do a video. Satin is very different from cotton fabric because satin is very slippery and it's hard to control. So I wanted to share what you could do to control the satin. Oh, my dogs. And one of those things would be to use interfacing, iron interfacing to the inside layer of the satin. That's what I did to the Jesus banner that I'm quilting. And the neat thing about it, since I've been working on the other banner, it doesn't affect the density or the texture of the quilting. It doesn't stiffen it, so use a very light interfacing so the fabric stays very flexible. Interfacing really helps, especially when you're connecting borders to satin, because satin is horrible to square up because it starts to fray. It frays very easily and it starts to fall apart very easily in the edges, and it's also very hard to control. One of the things you have to worry about satin is that once you stitch something down, there's no going back, because if you try to unstitch it, the fabric itself starts to fray and the fabric itself will never look the same. You can see that I messed up on the embroidery in this area, and the gloss and the stitching has burned into the satin. Maybe you can see it here better, where it leaves a large imprint. That's why when you stitch on this, make sure you keep the stitch. So if you make a mistake with satin, you just have to keep on going and ignore the mistake and move on. I do recommend that you base the heck out of this when you put it on your long arm or when you're putting it on your sewing machine. Make sure that it's nice and tight and held together, because satin is very slippery. Now I have quilted many versions and used different types of thread. So with this satin, I went ahead and I painted it, and I used this, I think it's solar activated thread. The thread is pretty thick thread. Even it has like a layer over it, I guess, to make it solar activated. Now with this thread, I used a Amazon glow-in-the-dark thread, which is this huge spool, and then I also used the Superior thread, glow-in-the-dark thread, that costs quite a bit of money in comparison to this. This glue longer. I will link tutorials above also on this. So even glow-in-the-dark, weird, chemically treated thread quilts very beautifully with satin. Here is another one that I have done in one of the doodle challenges. Metallic threads. You can embroider metallic thread or even sew metallic thread on satin. This is so fine thread, silk satin, but I made sure that in the back that I had a cotton blend in the bobbin. Okay, another thing you could do with satin is you can paint it, and I have several tutorials where I've painted the satin. This was a scrap piece of satin that I had laying around. It kind of just got caught in the paint. You can paint the satin and go ahead and water the paint down and turn around and heat set the paint, and I have washed this and it just looks beautiful. If you iron over this with a regular iron on cotton setting or a high setting, understand, wet the fabric, move it around quickly, because you can imprint a heat burn on satin. And if you wet it, make sure you wet the whole thing or it imprints a watermark. I really do appreciate you, and I'll see you. Hopefully, I will this week sometime be able to get on the long arm and do this banner. All right, talk to you later. Bye.